Hello students, I hope you are all fine and in good health. In this audio presentation, I will discuss few more important question and answers related with the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. So let's get started. See, it is written at the top, more questions solved. And I already told you the name of the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. And it is written short answer type question, so word limit is 30 to 40 words. So let us come to this. Look at the very first question, dear students. What do you learn about Aunt Jennifer's Tigers on reading the poem? That is, what is your take on this? What exactly have you learned after reading the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tiger? What exactly do you learn? Aunt Jennifer's tigers were created in the panel by her own hands. She did the embroidery, she created the tigers on the panel of her embroidery work by her own. They appear to be jumping or prancing across a screen. They appeared to be jumping, they are chivalrous, they are courageous, they are looking like bold creatures. They looked sleek. They were bright like yellow topaz. They were majestic and courageous. Now, the tigers, unlike their creator Aunt Jennifer herself, they were majestic, they were very brave, or rather to say, they were very courageous. They didn't fear the men beneath the tree. Now, they were totally least bothered about human intervention, and they are unafraid of men who are beneath the tree. They paced means they moved forward in chivalric certainty. In a chivalric manner, they went on moving ahead. Least bothered about human intervention or human beings also. Question number 2. How has Aunt Jennifer created her tigers? What traits of tigers do they reveal? Traits means actually characteristic traits. What behavior or what characteristic traits we find in them? Aunt Jennifer's tigers are her own creations. Actually, she used to do a lot of embroidery work during her leisure time. So, the tigers are actually her own creations. She works with wool and ivory needles. She used to work with wool and she used to work with ivory needles also. She has created them in the panel. So finally, it is a work of art. She created those tigers in the panel. They have all the traits of the beast of prey who are denizens of green forest. They have all the characteristic traits of a ferocious tiger. They are fearless. They are moving or they are pacing in the jungle, as can be seen by looking at the embroidery work, in sleek chivalric certainty. They are brave, they are courageous, they are well built and well groomed. They are chivalric, and most importantly, those tigers were full of confidence. Now, dear students, I am moving on to the third question. See, what difficulty does Aunt Jennifer face while making her tigers and why? Now, what sort of difficulties did she face? Do her life was a normal one, just like any other person, or was it full of exploitation and torture? Aunt Jennifer, see, is making her tigers in the panels. She is using ivory needles. Her fingers are fluttering through the wool. Her fingers used to tremble also. She finds it very difficult or hard to pull even the ivory needles. The reason is obvious, and obviously, because she was a victim of an unhappy marriage. The weight of unhappy and unfortunate experiences of her married life sits heavily on her hands. That is the reason it was very difficult for her to work on her creative excellence. And despite she tried a lot, she did an excellent work by drawing the tigers or doing the embroidery of the tigers on the panel, but nevertheless, she finds it difficult or very hard to pull even the ivory needles also, and her hands used to tremble a bit. Her fingers used to flutter through the wool. The reason is quite obvious, as been told earlier, that she was exploited, subjugated, considered as a slave by her husband, and the obviously the weight of the uncle's wedding band was also there, and because she ultimately, we can sum up by saying that she was a victim of an unhappy and unfortunate married life. That is the main thing. Now, dear students, I am moving on to uh, question number 4. See, it is written, what is the weight that lies heavily on Aunt Jennifer's hand? How is it associated with her husband? Is it has some? Is it the wedding band that sits heavily on her hand? Do this particular wedding band has some connection with her husband? If there is a connection, what exactly is the connection? That is the question. Now, dear students, let us come to the answer part. See, it is written, Aunt Jennifer is working with ivory needles and wool, but she can't move her fingers freely in the wool. But it was extremely difficult on her part to move the fingers in the wool. She finds it hard to pull even the ivory needles easily, and it was very difficult for her also even to execute properly or implement properly or to use properly the ivory needles. She can't use it easily. The experiences of her past married life are quite bitter. Her marital experiences were very bitter because she ultimately became a victim of unfortunate married life. She has unpleasant memories of her married life with her husband. Her memories that she had related with her married life with her husband, it was all unfortunate. It was something unpleasant, and she became a victim ultimately. The heavy weight of the wedding band sits heavily upon her hand. Now, that also symbolizes the burden of the patriarchal system or the orthodox patriarchal system on her. Now, dear students, I am moving on to question number 5. See, it is written, how will Aunt Jennifer's hands look when she is dead? So, how will her hand will look when she will lie cold dead in her coffin? When Aunt Jennifer dies, her hands will still look terrified. Why? In what way her hands will look still terrified? Perhaps she has experienced a lot of difficulties. Perhaps she had experienced a lot of hardships and troubles in the past. Their effect has left its print on her hands. Now, obviously, if we look closely, and then we'll find that she experienced a lot of turmoil, or rather to say, she experienced a lot of hardships in her life. So, obviously, after her death, while she will be lying cold dead in her coffin, at that time, if we see her hands, it seems that the effect of the turmoil, traumatic, tragic, unfortunate, horrible, horrific married life can be seen by looking at her hands. The ordeals that crushed her married life had surrounded and cramped her fingers and hands too. The ordeals, the burden of the cruel, orthodox, patriarchal society, and the demands of her husband, who considered her not as a life partner but as a slave, unfortunately. Now, all those things, obviously, failed married life, failed marriage, ultimately surrounded and cramped her fingers, and not only her fingers but her hands too. That can be closely looked even after her death, while she will be lying dead cold in her coffin. Next question. What will happen to Aunt Jennifer's tigers when she is dead? What exactly will happen to them? Will they perish or will they attain immortality? Aunt Jennifer's tiger will survive her because created art of a creator do exist, though the creator perishes in due course of time, because we know human beings are mortal. But the creative things, they attain immortality, they never gets perished. So this is very important. So I repeat once again. Aunt Jennifer's tigers, unlike their creator, will survive her. She has created the tigers in a panel. They are made of wool. These objects of art will survive their creator. Exactly what I told right now, dear students. Though Aunt Jennifer will die, but her created tigers will survive, and the created tigers or the embroidery work will remain, despite their creator will die in due course of time. That is related with the cycle of life. But in case of the art objects, they will live forever, unlike their creator. The tigers will go on jumping, proud and unafraid. The tigers, they will behave exactly in the similar way. If we closely inspect the embroidery work of Aunt Jennifer, we will find that the tigers are there, and the tigers will go on jumping, proud and unafraid, in a sleek, chivalric certainty, and unaware of whatever is happening around, and least bothered about human intervention or the presence of human beings under the tree. They will move around freely, courageously. And I already told previously also, Aunt Jennifer herself was docile, timid, coward, and she became a victim of the burden of the patriarchal society. But her created tigers, they actually will project her inner voice, the way she actually wanted her life to be. But unfortunately, that haven't occurred the way she had planned it. It went in a different direction. But she raised her voice, she gave her voice of opinion in the form of the embroidered tigers that she had created. Now, dear students, I am moving on to the next question, question number 7. It's quite a lengthy one. This question number 7 is. See, it is written, describe the poetic devices used in the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. Actually, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers are full of poetic devices. Now, let's continue with the answer part. Adrenaline Rich Aunt Jennifer's Tigers is a beautiful short poem which is rich in symbolism and imagery. This is a beautiful, thought provoking, has a social message, this poem, and this poem is full of symbolism, and this poem is full of rich imagery. The metaphor bright topaz. There is a metaphor. The bright topaz is actually a metaphor. It depicts the shining yellow complexion of our tigers. The skin colors are being depicted yellow and shining by bright topaz. The effective use of alliteration in sleek chivalric certainty describes the pace of the tigers effectively. Apart from that, the most important one, the most important one is the massive weight of the wedding band. Ultimately, it symbolizes the ordeals and the hardships or the difficult times that Aunt Jennifer experienced throughout her married life. The images terrified hands on one hand and ringed with ordeal create the effect of oppression and terror as well as captivity. Now, this is very important. I repeat one more time. Few images been depicted by the poet, and here I quote images like terrified hands, images like ringed with ordeal. Actually, these images create the effect of oppression, effect of struggle, and obviously terror, as well as captivity or imprisonment. Now, dear students, I am moving on to question number 8. Another very important question. It came in All India CBSE examination in the year 2014. It's not a present question, it's not a recent one, but very important nevertheless. How are Aunt Jennifer's tigers different from her? Now, that is also, it is related with the core theme of the poem also. In which way the created tigers are different from its creator or from their creator? Aunt Jennifer's tigers are a picture of strength, beauty, and certainty. They are actually a trio, a symbol of trio. Three things. Number one, picture of strength, beauty, and certainty. They seem to be jumping across a screen. They seem to be jumping across a screen. They pace in sleek chivalric certainty. See, chivalric certainty, this line is an alliteration. They are confident, Not only the tigers are confident, they are courageous, and most importantly, they are very impressive. Aunt Jennifer herself, if we consider her condition, she is a weak, depressed, and terrified person. But her created tigers displays exactly the opposite features related to her very own nature that already been told to you earlier, and dear students, you also know about it earlier, that her created tigers exhibited exuberance, excitement, heroism. They exhibited that they are courageous, unlike their creator Aunt Jennifer herself, who was weak, depressed, and used to be a terrified person in reality. Life has been a cup of woes for her. Life was never happy for her. She used to experience unhappiness every time. Unfortunate was her married life and her marital experience. She is still in the grip of those ordeals and terrors that she faced and suffered from dining her married life. Now, the important thing is that after she got married, from that time onwards, her life was a living hell, and she faced many problems from that stage of her life after she got married. Her fingers are so terrified. They used to tremble, they used to shake, they used to be very much scared. Her fingers, obviously, she herself, along with her fingers, that they find it hard to pull even the ivory needle. The ivory needle is a simple thing, it can be easily pulled. But the hands are terrified, they used to tremble, they used to shake, and ivory needle, it becomes a huge challenge for her to pull the ivory needle. Thus, the contrast is amply highlighted. Thus, we can say that the contrast is highlighted, amply highlighted. Now, let us move on to question number 9. What are the difficulties that Aunt Jennifer faced in her life? Very important question. What are the difficulties? There are many difficulties, and all the difficulties are related with her married life. And it is very unfortunate that her husband is to consider her as a slave. So the question is, what are the difficulties? Not only one, we have to mention few. So, what are the difficulties that Aunt Jennifer faced in her life? What are the problems? What are the difficulties that Aunt Jennifer faced in her life? This is also a very important CBSE related question. It came in 2014, but it is very, very important even now also. The life of Aunt Jennifer was overburdened by the duties of her married life. Her married life was actually considered very much near to hell or hellish experience, and she was every time pressurized, and it seems that she was overburdened by the duties of her married life. All the responsibilities and ordeals of the married life are imposed on her, and it was like a huge burden for her. Hardships and sufferings, difficulties and sufferings were the parts of her married life. These are the two companions, the two devils that were throughout her life after her marriage. And it seems that these two devils, they are inseparable, and they used to follow her every time. One is hardships, another one is sufferings. These two became her companions, her devil companions. She had to face oppression by her husband, even though she was old and weak. And unfortunately, her husband used to torture her, used to oppress her, never used to support her, always discouraged her when she used to pursue any of her hobbies, particularly embroidery. And she had to face the oppression by her husband, even though she was old and weak. So, dear students, I hope that you will listen to this audio presentation. I try to explain 9 more question and answers with you related with the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tiger. If there is any doubt anywhere, don't hesitate. Please do ask me. I will try to clarify those doubts and confusions. Thank you, students. Thank you all.